Radiant team ban.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to GESC. We got NA qualifiers as compLexity take on Digital Chaos. This is the lower bracket match, so losing this means you're out of the running for GESC Thailand. Winner of this faces the loser of either BJJ Storm or Optic. Currently, we don't know who that's going to be, but we'll find out by the end of the day. As DC just got push comped, like compLexity first picking a Chen, and then getting a Pugna and a DK, and then at that point, yeah, you're just going to be pushed. Not much fighting from the Digital Chaos side, at least not enough in the early game to really stop that for compLexity. Some good stalling, for sure, from the DC side. If you're able to kind of trade engagements, kind of nullify engagements, and make sure that no one dies, waste compLexity's time, that's how you really want to progress in that game. But at a certain point, you have to take that heads-up fight. And if you aren't going to be good with initiation or anything like that, or if you aren't going to get those kills, or if you get initiated upon, then it's really, really hard to play from there on out. We'll see what DC bring to bear in this second game. I think that was probably one of the weaker displays that we saw from DC. We've definitely seen them play to a much, much higher caliber in the previous games that we've seen them in. So, here's hoping that they make this game a little bit more interesting, because they didn't really put up much of a fight in Game 1. They will go for the Ancient Apparition, because that Chen is banned out, AA is therefore let through. And we have DK along with that Ancient Apparition. We've just seen a lot of AA just picked up for AA's sake. Really, really powerful early game hero, and if you have any sort of setup for the Ice Blast, doesn't even have to be huge, really scales well into the later stages on top of that. And you also do have some amplification, that those icy vortexes, kind of a underappreciated aspect of Ancient Apparition, because it's not glorious, right? It's not like Burrow Strike, it's not like a Gale from a Venomancer that could just do all these huge things, but it's just so useful so often. Vision, slows, damage, like it's all good, man. And Ancient Apparition with a DK, even if they don't necessarily play together in those lanes, a pretty nice 1-2 punch, depending on who the mid lane is going to be, of course. Get that Dragon Tail, get that Cold Feet, land all those chilling touch hits. That's a tight little combo right there. And if DC do go for someone like a Rubik or like a Witch Doctor, or really anyone with any sort of disable from a support standpoint for that AA, man, you got yourself a lot of options. They could also go for, not Rubik, they could also go for someone like a Clockwork. But for compLexity, go for the Sand King, go for the Venomancer. Now, I've been on record not being a huge fan of this Venomancer. I do feel like it's not a consistent enough hero to be picked up in the first phase. I think there are certain situations where you could third pick, fourth pick Venomancer. It certainly isn't looking bad right now. Together with the Sand King, you will have just overwhelming magical damage, and that's something that's really difficult to deal with for someone like an Ancient Apparition who's just going to die to any sort of damage, or a DK who really doesn't want to be going up against that magic damage up until the point where he gets a BKB. And until he does get that BKB, he's just going to absolutely crumble to this magic damage of compLexity. Would like to see them try to pile that on a little bit more, try to get a Veil, and really try to play the killing tempo role from the compLexity side of things. But other than that, Sand King, Venomancer, kind of these supporty type heroes. Not support heroes, they're just very supporty. They're not going to win the game for you, they're just going to give you that extra utility, give you a little bit of a boost of damage so that someone else, someone like an OD, someone like a Phantom Lancer, can win the game, like actually win the game for you.
5 seconds
A lot of those heroes are banned out at this stage. Lifestealer, Gyrocopter, OD, those are the more frequently seen heroes that will straight up win the game, although Terrorblade is still in the pool right now, and DC are currently ill-equipped to deal with him. They'll go for an ET, which is certainly a nice hero to have up against a potential Terrorblade setup. Together with an Ancient Apparition, it's not the best combo in the world, but it certainly does work. It just is a little bit more finicky as far as setting up with that stomp. It's going to land sometimes it just won't. As opposed to like a Magic Missile, which will always land.
5 seconds
but still is going to give them that diversified damage increase. Makes the Ancient Apparition vortexes, suddenly your magic damage is hitting it pretty darn hard. What is that increase anyway? It's at max level, which is something we usually see from AAs, prioritizing the vortex, at least more so than other tools. Sometimes you see Chilling Touch max out first, but, let's say 20% magic resistance reduction. You get that kind of pure magic effect from the Elder Titan. Yeah, your nukes are going to be hitting really, really hard. Complexity, they don't really have any sort of defensive countermeasures to this as of right now. Right now, super powerful lane set up for Complexity, and we'll get even stronger with that Witch Doctor. Nice little hero to have versus that ET, for sure. Being able to kind of threaten that channel of the stomp with that cask is something that is always something that ET has to worry about. Not to mention the fact that Maledict with all these dot effects, oh man, that is really, really painful. I wonder if DC are going to give this DK towards Bryle in mid, or try to give him a little bit of a different hero. Ix Mike's Enchantress certainly was great in lane in the last game. Failed to have any sort of punch because Complexity just ended the game way too early. But would like to see DC try to pick up some heroes that are happy to pick up Pipe, or at least a Hood. Like we've seen, or some magic resistance. Viper would make these lanes a little bit awkward for DC, but that type of hero will go a long, long way. Got Underlord to hear that very frequently. Hood's up. Razor is banned out, but it's another one of those heroes that you could happily build a Hood on. A Hood or a Pipe on. And DC, they do have a little bit of push from this DK. Initiation still currently lacking. Not going to solve that here. It's going to be the Phantom Lancer. So we're looking at this point, probably a Ritsu PL. Bryle can take the Phantom Lancer over in the mid lane. So PL going towards the, either that safe lane or that mid lane, depending on what he could actually find. A very resistant hero to that Venomancer. Get hit with a little bit of poison in the early stages. Doesn't matter. You doppelgang it straight off, and you'll be able to run away. The poison damage eventually is going to do a lot of damage, but yeah, there's really no way around that. As PL, you don't really want to be building BKB. Might be a necessity in this game, though. Underlord for Complexity. Great hero to have up against that Phantom Lancer. Again, building up all these auras. Really nice for DC if they, kind of want to play defensively up against the magic of Complexity. But it's also really good for Complexity because they are going up against that Elder Titan. So they're going to lose those resistances, those base armor and magic resistant values. So having a hero that like Underlord who will get some durability through items like Crimson Guard, items like Pipe, that's going to be really nice. Plus, looks like they're going to go for a really aggressive early game setup. Venomancer, Underlord, these are really, really powerful cores in the first 20 minutes of the game. They can fight. They're perhaps like the best heroes at fighting in that stage of the game, but they really, again, will not win the game for you. So we're still looking for that chessy hero for Complexity, and I don't think it's going to be a hero that will go all in for the aggro. It just doesn't seem like they have quite enough there, so they have to make sure they have some scaling. TB is another hero that is a possibility here for Complexity, kind of the best of both worlds there. Would not be surprised to see a Luna. I wonder if Complexity at all want to have a Morphling on their side.
10 seconds.
Definitely seems like they have enough to protect a Morphling, but up against... No, ET. No, you don't want to do that. Bad ideas. Don't do that. Ignore me. I'm stupid. Don't do Morphling up against ET. Guys, don't do it. Okay, good. It's going to be a Faceless Void, and that's going to be, again, kind of the best of both worlds situation for Complexity. In the 1 through 5 levels, he's kind of paper, and Faceless Void is kind of useless, let's be honest. But at a certain point, you get that Chronosphere. You may or may not get the Battle Fury to go up against that Phantom Lancer. And you're not up against the most amount of stuns from DC. As far as combos are concerned, Faceless Void is going to have Underlord, Witch Doctor, Ultimate, Epicenter, a lot of potential combos. And it is going to give Complexity that scalability. It is a situation in this game where Faceless Void, he is most likely not going to have a super fun time in lane. But if DC decide to pressure the Faceless Void, they will be ignoring the Underlord and the Venomancer, who will demand attention in this game. So if the Faceless Void gets pressured and if he's underfarmed, that's fine. Underlord, Venomancer, Witch Doctor, and Sand King, they can hold down the fort, easily hold down the fort, while the Faceless Void farms up 1 or 2 items. And even if you are behind his Faceless Void, you still Chronosphere. It still works, man. So this team fight setup for Complexity, do like it quite a bit as long as their lanes go off without a hitch. And now DC pick up the Lina for Bryle. Dude, I love me some Lina, not gonna lie. Getting an additional stun up against that Faceless Void is absolutely huge. And again, talked about that magic resistance or lack thereof for the Complexity side. They might get a pipe on the Underlord. In fact, it's looking pretty nasty in this game to have a pipe, but you're looking at pure damage, let's say, from the ET Aura, assuming it's going to apply. Ancient Apparition can amplify that even further, and then at that point, Lina is just dropping bombs. And Complexity, they really aren't that tanky. Venomancer is a hero that you could very, very easily kill off. And he is so soft, in fact, that you might be able to insta-kill him before he's able to cast that Nova. If you're able to do that, you're in a good spot as DC. Faceless Void, very much so the same. Lina just does all the damage in the world, and Sand King Witch Doctor, obviously, it's only just the Underlord who's going to be a challenging kill for the DC squad. So this Lina pick is absolutely nuts. The only concern I would have for DC is that Dragon Knight, Phantom Lancer, these heroes just as stagnant laners aren't going to have quite advantageous matchups enough so that you could just leave them alone. Even though you might want to, you won't be able to apply quite enough pressure. Lina's lane is fine. Like, you could do pretty much whatever you want as the Lina, and you'll be finding success. But you'll need to give the Phantom Lancer and the DK a little bit more, and ETAA, they definitely aren't the super premium heroes that you want to have to kind of babysit those other heroes. They're okay at doing it in certain situations, but Complexity have definitely better heroes at applying pressure in the early stages, and forcing these kind of semi-weak or kind of mediocre laners into dangerous spots, and then being able to kill them off with the Witch Doctor and the Sand King is super easy for Complexity. Like, the standing lanes for Complexity should be in their advantage, and the rotations should be in their advantage as well. Not by a huge margin, but just by a little bit. I don't know, that Lina pick seems amazing, and the late game from DC is really, really dangerous, but late game is really weird to play up against Faceless Void, and winning in the early game, it's really hard up against Faceless Void as well, because you got to play around this Chronosphere. Such a long cooldown on that Void, but such a powerhouse ultimate. So if DC can really just hold down the fort, get to that late game, that's probably their best shot. Maybe get this Lina some tempo. They could definitely push decently. Lina's a not terrible pusher, just because of Fiery Soul stacks. DK obviously pushes pretty darn well. They have quite a few tools on both sides. I like both these drafts quite a bit. They both have very, very different strategies. But it's not really going to be like one strat hard counters another. And I think they're pretty well matched up here. Chessie gonna take a walkabout to grab their bounty rune. Oh, blocking IX Mike. This bounty rune is locked up for Chessie right now. Oh, no it's not. Dragon Tail leveled up. And that's gonna be a still 2 for 2. Oh yeah, 2 for 2. Moo's gonna get them both on the bottom side, and well, you know what? Ultimately, it was a good move. AUI gonna try to pull off this creep wave. Kitrak is here with the cask. It doesn't really last all that long. It's just a 1-second stun. AUI is gonna take quite a bit of damage in doing so. Let's see what's gonna go on in the bottom lane. Looks like the exact same thing, except Moo takes slightly less damage. It's pretty much the same exact thing. Chessie does have quite a bit of base damage, and he will probably be able to last hit under the tower pretty easily here. Phantom Lancer will be probably doing the same. In fact, they have very, very close to the same amount of base damage. Thought there would be a little bit more of an advantage there for PL, but maybe in a couple levels. Get that agility going. Over in the mid lane, in the meantime, Limp going to be taking on Bryle. And this is a lane that Venomancer is not going to be doing fantastic in. There aren't really many lane matchups unless you're up against a melee hero where Venomancer is going to be trouncing his opponent. Lina is just going to outrange and outnuke the Venomancer. You could throw in a couple of right clicks with the Gale, and you can get some pretty cost-effective harassment as Limp. But if you get too close, get hit with that LSA, or even just get hit with 2 right clicks, whereas you can only land 1, usually the damage trades are going to be favoring the Lina, and I would expect her to be slowly but surely pulling ahead in that mid lane. I wonder what Limp is going to be going for as a skill build. Level 1 Gale is all you need to get that slow, but you can see his base damage is pathetic compared to Lina's. 50, going up against 64. Really no contest there. His attack range is like 400, 450, versus the 670 of the Lina. Disgusting kind of outlane power just by the base numbers here for Bryle. So it looks like Limp's going to try to get around that by massing up with these Plague Wards. And over in top lane, IX Mike taking a lot of damage here. Chessie does have the 1 point in the bash. Gets hit with the Dragon Tail. Now AUI is going to come in with the Stomp. Will catch onto the Witch Doctor. Kitrak's going to take a beating here from that plus 48. 2 more shots are needed, however. And it will be enough, it looks like. AUI, no, just falls short. The stick saves the Witch Doctor, and Chessie can't do anything but watch. This is exactly the situation I was talking about earlier. GESC is not really a laning hero. And they are just dual laning him. He is getting a lot of experience. He's getting a decent amount of CS. But he's not able to actually do all that much outside of that. Over in the bottom lane, Moo is probably just going to be running around unchallenged, honestly. There's not much a PL can do against an Underlord. Not much a PL AA can do against the Underlord. Though the Underlord's going to be just fine here, the AA will still be kind of free to do whatever he wants. We can see Ritsu just getting his ass whooped by Moo. And I would expect for Moo to be kind of sticking to his Underlord guns. Helm of the Dominator, Pipe, something along those lines. Getting those aura supporty items in the Underlord. Also, Atrophy Aura is quite nice here. Let's see what that minus damage is right now. That's 67, only minus 5. But it's only a level 1 aura, so you don't expect it to do that much now, do you?
No.
This is how Venomancer controls this lane. He's... Oh shit, got denied. Even with all these Plague Wards. With all these Plague Wards, he is able to constantly shove in the wave. Force Lina to last hit under a tower, and oh, Burrow Strike from Z-Freak is off! Sand King is going to take a couple of tower shots now as the Witch Doctor takes the Dragon Tail. This will be first blood now. GESC just praying for some bashes, but only level 1 is only like a 10% chance. Can't quite get it. Deep dive, but DK Elder Titan just too resilient, and Witch Doctor too soft. They really do need to give GESC a little bit of aid. The Underlord doesn't need any help, he's fine. Limp is forced to go for hell of a lot of Plague Wards. We'll be constantly shoving Bryle's lane in, but you can never kill off this Lina as Venomancer. It's not gonna happen, man. It's just not gonna happen. Unless he has both Sand King and Witch Doctor come in. Then there's a chance, but even then he doesn't have any Gale, so it's a very low chance. Dude, how is he getting... He has like all these Plague Wards with 22 damage each, with Sting. How is he still getting denied by this Lina? I feel like that shouldn't be happening. Ritsu, see minus 13 on that Atrophy Aura. Yeah, Ritsu's illusions are going to be pretty useless up against Moo. There is Chilling Touch. Magic damage still works. Moo, outside of the freeze duration, will TP out. It's going to be close with the Lance. They got him. That's a level 2 Lance, and Moo will go down in this bottom lane. Now, usually having an Underlord die a handful of times isn't a terribly huge deal. But in this situation, when GESC's not having a great time, Limp's not having a great time, and you absolutely need your Underlord to be picking up these aura items. And this right here is kind of why I'm not a huge fan of Venomancer. Like, he's existing in the lane. He's not really doing anything assertive. He's not really demanding any attention. He's not pressuring the Lina. He's just kind of there. Dragon Tail, Cold Feet, Z-Freak, Burrow Strike out. Still is going to get frozen. They're focusing onto AUI. Z-Freak is forfeit here as AUI just going to gun for Kit Track. He's got him in the bag this time. No escape for the Witch Doctor. GESC trying to get involved in these fights as a Faceless Void. Not a good idea. Unless you're very, very lucky. He does have one more Time Walk, but IX Mike charging in with the Dragon Tail. Time Walk into the trees will be fine. compLexity trying to make action happen out of nowhere. And will fall even further behind in this top lane. IX Mike is getting all the experience he could possibly want. Because DK, I mean, he doesn't have like quite as a lot more offensive power than GESC. He's just more resilient. He just doesn't take any damage. I kind of like the idea for compLexity to make those plays with Z-Freak, but the execution was slightly off. Z-Freak now going to run to Bryle. Burrow Strike is available, though he's messing with a level 6 Lina, who has a lot of stick charges. Gale's going to land. Plague Wards starting to take some damage. They do land the LSA onto the Sand King, but he has another Burrow Strike now. Arcane Rune showing up, and Bryle will go down eventually. One more LSA, turnaround. Oh, he's still taking that poison damage. Sting and Gale. Sting will get the kill with that last Plague Ward. They kill off Bryle. We can see how much effort it actually takes. Like, chasing all the way from here to all the way down here, and they barely get the kill. But it kills a kill nonetheless. IX Mike lands a Dragon Tail onto GESC. There is a dilation. Will slow down Mike just by a touch. Bash, never, lucky. Even if he gets the bash, like, it doesn't really do all that much more damage. And now AUI is coming in right onto Kit Track one more time. Dude, it's not fun playing Witch Doctor in this lane. There's just not much offensive power here for the Faceless Void. If this was a Luna, this lane would work out well for compLexity, but it ain't a Luna, man. Still, the net worth lead is pretty close on both sides. Chronosphere being up in the void is always nice, but in this situation, it's not really going to give them a ton of opportunities. You can see Chronosphere used purely defensively there. And Mu is going to teleport in. Doesn't have a lot of mana, but he doesn't have the pit either. He's going to be spotted here. IX Mike is kind of getting walled off by creeps. Will chop his way through. That rotation is essentially wasted for Mu. Does absolutely nothing. Is going to just rift back bottom. A necessary evil, I guess. I mean, Boots of Travel. You got him. Might as well use him.
I'll take that.
Now, Ritsu's not having a grand time, but he is just not under any sort of kill pressure. Unless there is a rotation from the Sand King, and so far there just hasn't been. And even if there is, at this point, Z-Freak's only level 3. Mu doesn't have a lot of easy damage to apply to a Phantom Lancer. Pit is very, very mediocre up against PL. Firestorm as well just doesn't do all that much damage unless there's a lot of disables there, and that disable will have to be the Chronosphere. Hood is being built up on the Underlord. Again, an absolute necessity. They're constantly pressuring Chessie on top lane, though. Chronosphere being down. Hell, even if Chronosphere was up, they could probably still go for this. Venno is starting to shove in Bryle's lane just a little bit. Pretty competitive in the net worth. Bryle so far hasn't been able to really land up anything aggressive. They are making a move onto Ritsu, but you can Burrow Strike into pretty much nothing. Kitrak is here. They do have another Burrow Strike right about now, actually. Ritsu does have a Hood, though. He will charge out to Kitrak. Burrow Strike's gonna land. Maledict land onto Phantom Lancer as well, but Doppelgang out of the Firestorm, chasing after Kitrak. Should have the kill in the bag. Although Kitrak gets into the trees, and Ritsu kind of gets blocked by those trees and his illusions, so he's gonna really struggle to get that kill. And now turning around to Sand King, Ritsu just wants to charge in. I don't think he's gonna have it. Now Kitrak's safe in the trees, but from the back it's AY and Bryle. Mu now is swarmed by heroes. How good is Atrophy Aura? Probably not good enough. Still a lot of fire landing onto Ritsu. A lot of fire, but that's what the Hood is for. Very defensive opening item from Ritsu, but recognizing the threats of compLexity being pretty much exclusively magic damage, this is definitely a well-warranted pickup. DK is going to stick to his guns, get that Blink Dagger. Maybe this is like not quite as much farm as DK might have from like a mid lane or something, but this is still, considering the off-lane scenario, a really, really successful DK lane. They're just playing an ordinary DK kind of game. In fact, Blink Dagger looks like it's going to be up at a pretty reasonable timing. It's very frequent we see DKs coming out of those offlane scenarios to be really underfarmed and not all that useful outside of just a Dragon Tail off of the Elder Dragon form. Chessie, man. Chronosphere. Gonna find AUY, but definitely need some help here. Kitrak, Z-Freak both coming in, only level 4. And if they had that Death Ward, man, they could actually make something happen, but they will need a little bit of help. Even, I don't know, could they kill off AUY here with the Maledict? They probably can. Burrow Strike, Cask. Yeah, they got him. Chessie's even coming in, and they got him. They only kill off that one ET, though. Over in mid lane, Plague Wards are maxed out. The tower's already chipped down quite a bit. Bryle being chased out, and Chessie will just leave. IX Mike is getting to work on this top lane. Kind of surprised he didn't pop the Dragon form. Now he does, and this tower is going to go down one way or the other. Over in mid lane will be a tower destruction for Limp, as Fortify for the Dire is going to keep this alive. Chessie can Chronosphere for the deny if he really needs to. He doesn't really want to. Ice Blast coming in with the Stomp. Chessie will get out from all of that. But IX Mike does kill off the tower. And Sand King, so far, not really being as super loud as the AA, as normally they just don't. He is able to sneak into level 6, just playing around this area mostly for the AA. Not anything the Underlord could really do to punish that. Sand King, gonna run into Limp though. That's not what he wants to see. Even Kitrak here. Sand King just gonna die to the poison. rotates up towards top lane. Chronosphere gonna give Z-Freak a little bit of time to channel up that Epicenter. Stomp is still gonna land, but Chessie doesn't get hit by it, and Z-Freak does, but Epicenter still works. Over in mid lane now, they found IX Mike. This poison damage with the Maledict is going to hurt a lot. Kitrak gets swarmed by Ritsu, will go down. Is IX Mike dead? Still the Gale, that's lethal damage, and he is dead. Oof, compLexity making some pretty aggressive plays around the map. Still have yet to really answer Ritsu. But this Venomancer is finding really kind of awkwardly situations where he and another hero are going to find a singular hero of DC. Those are the type of fights that Venomancer wants. Like, those are the fights where Poison Sting just does all the damage in the world. Plague Wards actually do noticeable damage. When you're going into like a 3v3 as a Venomancer, it gets a little bit more awkward. Your Gale can realistically only hit, like, let's say 2 heroes. And your Plague Wards, because they take so much time to set up, means that Venomancer fights really slowly. But finding random singular heroes in this area especially means that Venomancer has all the time in the world to just isolate and tick them down slowly. With or without that poison, though, honestly. So if Limp can keep running into those engagements, man, he's going to be ecstatic. I don't expect that to happen. DC should be, especially after losing those couple of heroes, should be more willing to group up just a little bit and keep themselves safe versus this Veno. And another problem is going to arise soon where Z-Freak's on top lane pushing. Maxed out the Sandstorm in this game. That's interesting. Usually we saw that from a little bit more of a farmer type build. Chessie, bash, gets the bash. Ooh, he was running out of time there for that bash. Moves in the bottom lane, kind of being chased down by a swarm of Smurfs. They land the Dragon Tail, breathe fire, but he does have the hood. Moves tanking a lot, but will go down. In exchange for Stand King, Kitrak and Limp, focusing the supports in the back. And there is a Lina rotation as well. Limp gonna put up a couple of these Plague Wards, trying to stall this push out, but Ritsu is not going to be stopped here. He'll just charge into those Plague Wards, start cleaning them up. Lina can also clean them up pretty easily. But this tower is taking some serious damage. At a pretty significant cost, however, Z-Freak's still pushing top lane. And he can do so very quickly. Sandstorm level 4 crushes creep waves. Tanking might even take down this tower. That's pretty healthy. I'm not really sure if that's feasible. But over in mid lane, we do have Chessie pushing in as well. Moo is going to teleport in. Can't quite find anyone. They do take down the tower. Looks like that is just denied, actually. Limp gets it with, I assume, those Plague Wards helping out.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And this is going to give Z-Freak Blink Dagger time. He's pretty much got it locked up. The Crackback should also put a lot of damage onto this tower. And Moo is going to annihilate the creep wave. And they have more creep waves incoming with the Venomancer here as well to aid the push. Of course, Ritsu and IX Mike, they're doing the same over in the mid lane. In the meantime, here comes the Rift in. Chronosphere is going to be completely botched by Chessie. And even if it did land, that timing was just going to be a little bit off anyway. Maybe that was a good thing for compLexity that it wasn't quite there, because it wouldn't have done all that much. But, you know, I like the idea. Chronosphering upon the Dark Rift TP. That's kind of a cool idea. Tower on the bottom lane, probably denied by IX Mike. There you go, stabs it with the sword. Chronosphere being down, though, represents a pretty big opening for DC. We can already see they're getting this Phantom Lancer involved, having very few offensive items, but just being so durable with that hood, having the offensive power of maxed out Phantom Rush. Getting him in these fights, forcing these engagements, they've already been doing that. Now they can kind of do it a little bit more assertively, because they don't have to fear this Chronosphere. They probably do know that the Sand King has his Blink Dagger, though. At least they could probably assume that. Strike, though, lands onto the DK. There's no TP for him. He's going to tail the Sand King, get some damage reduction onto Limp, but the Plague Wards still do damage, and he's just going to die to those dots. Over in the mid lane, teleporting in, Limp is just actually going by himself. Looks like he will be enough to hold this tower. This Venomancer's been bouncing around everywhere, still remaining very competitive in the net worth. Over towards top, Chessie, Ice Blast coming in. Ryle's going to show himself, looking for Yules into LSA, but the timings just weren't going to be lined up there. Chessie has another time walk out into a TP. There is an Elder Titan Spirit that's kind of close, but it's too far. He's going to be fine, and Chessie is working towards that Battle Fury. Great item up against that PL, but just keeping on top of the net worth chart. That's how Faceless Void does it. Ooh, Ritsu. Is there an Epicenter angle here for Z-Freak? really, really hard because of how quick the
Dire's
doppelgang comes
top
out.
tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
I'm not even sure if it's only level 3 Burrow Strike, level 1 Epicenter. I'm not even sure if that's enough to kill off Ritsu. 1200 HP worth of hooded Phantom Lancer is a lot. They're gonna look for Mu on top lane. Level 1 Natural Order. Spirit's there with the Ice Blast. They have a Laguna Blade. Hood is gonna hold pretty well for the Underlord, but still not nearly enough. Easy setup. First Ice Blast that I think actually landed here for Stan King. And this is the quote-unquote tanky hero for the complexity side. He does have the pipe at this point, so grouping up for complexity a little bit more appealing. Ooh, that was a nice TP there, Limp. Nice TP. Still got eyes on Ritsu at this point, though. Ritsu with the Diffusal Blade. And that hood. Those mana-burning illusions, such a nightmare for complexity to deal with. Venomancer already is kind of going to be a little bit short on that mana, especially once he uses those that ultimate, the Gale. He needs to keep spamming out those Plague Wards. A couple of Phantom Lancers coming in. They may be able to, in certain situations, keep the Venomancer off of his Nova. If you Dragon Tail him and then swarm him with Phantom Lancers, it's certainly feasible. Limp's got to watch out for that. Chronosphere on the Faceless Void is kind of a similar thing. It's not like super expensive, but there's a chance that he just gets burned out, man. There's a very real chance. Complexity, though, with another Chronosphere, armed and ready. We'll just go into the Roche Pit. This is something that DC can definitely stop, or at least mess with. You only have the 1 point in the Vortex right now. Ice Blast available for Stan King. There it is, right into the Roche Pit. So the intel, it's there, but the accuracy is a little bit off. I think only hit onto the Faceless Void. It will pipe up afterwards, prevent that chill effect from doing its small amount of damage. Phantom Lancer illusions coming in, but this is going into a lot of Plague Wards. Venomancer is set up already. And this is really, really difficult for DC to engage into, because there's a Chronosphere, there's a pit, and of course all these Plague Wards. They don't really have a ton of initiation themselves, so they're just going to send in a couple of illusions, try to get some damage done to Chessie, but Roshan slowly being ticked down and off in the back. Limp with the blink in from Z-Freaks. Didn't land Epicenter on Stan King. That's the Ancient Apparition down. IX Mike getting beaten to hell as well. Ritsu's in the middle of the fight going after Kit Track. No one's really stopping him. The Chronosphere in the back line, though, is going to catch that Lina, and Chessie is just going to beat the hell out of her with the Burrow Strike in. They'll get the kill there as well. Ritsu going to try to rush for that Roshan, and it looks like Roshan down. Ritsu snatches the Aegis. Doppelgang's away. Z-Freak is there with the Sandstorm, has a Burrow Strike soon, and he will land onto Ritsu, but he does get stomped. In fact, everyone gets stomped afterwards. Ritsu going to continue the fight onto Z-Freak, and then Doppelgang himself out of there. Complexity, they took down Roche, they got the gold, but Ritsu gets away with the big prize. As great as that is for DC to make sure that they don't get super aggressively pushed, I'm still not sure if they could be really happy with that. I mean, they're going to be happy all things considered, because it's like the Aegis is on the Phantom Lancer, the best hero for DC to have an Aegis. It's away from Complexity, which is absolutely fantastic. But in trying to do that, they really, really quickly realized that Complexity's fight is going to crash in really, really hard. With that Venomancer just blinking in, using the Nova. Stan King just got eviscerated, and Stan King being all over the place in that fight. Lina didn't get anything off. They sacrificed a lot of heroes to get just that Aegis swing. And I'm not really sure if DC are in a position where they can actually do something purely offensive with that Aegis. If they do, such as pushing this top lane, it will be met with equal push on the other lanes from Complexity. So looking at like tower trades at best for DC. What does this Void have? Got Mask of Madness, he's got the Battle Fury. He's getting a lot of experience as well. Plus 300 health, probably going to get that cast range on that 20. Still a little bit of a ways away from that, obviously, but another Chronosphere is going to line up in 20 seconds. In that time, top lane tower easily pushed in. DC not going to stop either.
Radiant structures are fortified.
You know, this dragon form cosmetic, I think they need to, like, this looks a little bit like a blue dragon. Obviously, it's only 20 minutes and it's not going to be a blue dragon, but they can make it more green, right? Who has a Firestorm. Burrow Strike onto this Phantom Lancer will hit him up, but again, not really a good tool up against PL. Tower takes a lot of damage just with a handful of right clicks. But the tier 2 for tier 2 trade will be there. DC doing all they can with this Aegis, kind of flexing this Phantom Lancer's muscles as much as possible. Keep in mind, Chessie, now with that Battle Fury, will be able to very quickly identify and in a Chronosphere kill off that real PL. Nova as well, it kind of just destroys Phantom Lancer. Even though he does have that hood, there is going to be a Veil of Discord to kind of counteract that a little bit.
Time is money.
So Chessie now on top of the net worth chart with the Shadow Blade initiation. Also might be going for the straight Silver Edge. Definitely a chance there. Being able to break off Juxtapose is fantastic. You also get rid of all that Dragon Blood armor and health regen. I'm not quite sure if it's worth, yeah, going for Shadow Blade BKB, it seems safer. But when he does eventually get the Silver Edge break upgrade, that will be really good in this game. He'll get there eventually. I don't see this game ending before he has a chance to get that. Unless DC just get an absolute monstrous play. Ritsu's walking through the Sandstorm. Gonna find himself limp. The only thing he's really scared of is that Chronosphere. Burrow Strike lands onto only the DK. Ritsu, though, is going to jump onto Kit Track. Ice Blast going to come in. Lands only onto Z-Freak, however. Cast bouncing through, slowing down Ritsu, who's been really well separated from the rest of his allies. AUI being chased out will go down. As Ritsu's gunning for Kit Track, his illusions will kill him off that Witch Doctor. But now he's going to get bashed with the main hero. A couple more right clicks are all they need. The Doppelgang is just going to cool down in time, but can't get it off. He will be fine to Doppelgang away from this afterwards. Chessie, though, still has a Time Walk and a Chronosphere. Stand King TPing out. They will find Bryle in the meantime. This Lina, caught in the middle of nowhere, right-clicked. Oh, he's going to survive, but Chessie, he's found the big goal. IX Mike is going to help him out with a little bit of Dragon Tail action. Ritsu is still going to hit with that Burrow Strike. They're focusing on the wrong one, however. They get jebaited super hard. Ritsu's going to charge off into the sunset. What the hell? How? Gaben, please fix it. It doesn't even matter. They still catch up.
Your downfall.
That is a glitch, right? That is like abuse. I'm pretty sure that's bad manner to abuse that. But even with that, they still get the kill on PL. They don't get the kill on Bryle, but we have not really felt the impact of Lina in this game. She killed off an Underlord once on top lane, and that's pretty much it. Like, is that the only Laguna Blade she casted? To be fair, in the fight over here, she got solo Chronosphered, and there's not much you could do at that point as any hero. Kind of got ganged up upon in that mid lane as well, but Bryle's kind of been a little bit AWOL in this game. Still is working with a lot of potential threat, but just seems like he's never in the right place to actually do anything super useful. And Chessie, in the meantime, is just going off on everyone. Pushing that level 20 mark, having that additional cast range in the Time Walk. Such a great tool in chasing down Phantom Lancers. And we do have Underlord, Mu, going to be going for these super defensive items. Is that mechanism complete? Yes, it's mechanism complete. Looks like he's going to chill for the Guardian Greaves. It's almost up anyway. Getting that, just an extra source of health from the complexity side, of course, with that pipe. Does seem like that fight from DC was kind of poorly choreographed. Phantom Lancer should not be here unless his allies are over here. But they at least were trying to follow Ritsu in. I don't know who you could put the blame on, if anyone. It's like, is it Ritsu's fault for going too far, or is it the rest of the team's fault for not staying with their PL? Either way, you got to make sure that the Phantom Lancer is fighting with cover from the Elder Titan. That's what we saw in that Roshan fight earlier. ET was giving the Phantom Lancer all the space in the world to do whatever the hell he wants. But having the Phantom Lancer by himself, like, he's not nearly farmed enough to do that. Mu is going to get Dragon Tail, and here comes some Lina damage. Straight into the pipe, unfortunately, but Mu's still going to go down. Guardian Greaves not all that useful up against the Ice Blast, obviously. They will get the kill on Mu. And the ping is out for everyone go top. Limp does have a TP, and no one's going to be here to stop that. He will be able to come back and defend. Actually, the ping is not quite for top. They ping top, but they stay mid. Way to debate me. Just a couple of hits from the Elder Dragon form, getting that corrosive effect on the tower. Bottom lane, just a little bit of momentum being applied before Limp is going to teleport back. Ultimately, off of that Underlord kill, no huge opening the DC side. We do have the Aghanim Scepter with that Veil. And now the Poison Nova. It does a lot of damage. Still no BKB on IX Mike. Hood on the Phantom Lancer with Heart. I mean, that's still a lot of durability here. Chessie, what are you doing, man? He's just doing things. He's fine. But yeah, this is easily thousands of HP on pretty much everyone. So like Ripperino, Ancient Apparition, there's no chance he survived that. Although it's not lethal, so like they actually do have to sting him or gale him or something. But Limp is working with an absolute cannon right now. With the Blink Dagger, can definitely play that kind of older Suicide Venomancer build where you just blink in, Nova as many people as you can, hit them with that magic weakness and then die. But he's also just got a Hood. He's also with the Aghanim Scepter. Like, he's gonna go in and do that for sure, but he might not die if he does do that. Yeah, at least if he does die, like, Chessie and Moo, they'll be able to clean up the fight afterwards. Easily able to do so. The old bug was cutting trees. I don't know. There was definitely a bug with Phantom Rush before. That definitely seems like another bug, or the same bug. Either way, it seems a little bit abusive. Chessie, she's gonna jump in. He once again is looking for Bryle. Stuck in the Chronosphere, Moo's gonna land some fire, and Lina will go down. And that is already a really bad start. And in the meantime, it's Ritsu trying to go for these supports. Will be able to swarm them, but his cores are being taken down elsewhere. IX Mike will TP out. As Z-Freak just sitting in the Sandstorm. Ritsu forced to pop that shrine, but gets he's still in the range of it. Chessie's coming in. Epicenter's there. He's gonna try to dash over to the neutrals. Not gonna happen. Just swarmed by one too many heroes. And Kittrack, I'm sorry, dude. You took one for the team, and for that we all salute you. But that call for complexity, they saw AUI. They saw him. They're like, ET, yeah, we can kill ET. We're not gonna kill ET. We're gonna kill this Lina. Keeping Bryle out of this game. Bryle hasn't done anything because he's been focused down the entire time. The first thing, it's like, oh, there's a Lina. Kill the Lina. And now the push is going to continue in earnest. The Poison Nova, low cooldown, or low-ish cooldown. 60 seconds is very manageable. Expensive in the mana department, but he's still working with those Plague Wards, getting those set up. Guardian Greaves are out. Ice Blast will be flying out to somewhere. Looks like Stan King is going to say, screw it, you guys can have that tracker orb. Chessie and Limp are going to go to work on this tower. This tier 3 should be forfeit, but they really have to be careful, DC. The jump in Burrow Strike can easily start a follow-up fight. Chessie's cooldown only 20 seconds off until he has another Chronosphere. BKB still at 9 seconds for him. Once again, that fight, DC just being a little bit too separated because they got initiated upon. Z-Freak Sandstorming out as IX Mike looking for Kittrack. Or really looking for anyone. Can't find anybody. They have a Blink Dragon Tail. They have a Eul Scepter Lina with a Shadow Blade. It honestly shouldn't be this hard for DC to find some initiations. They just haven't been able to. And then they do. They'll find the Faceless Void. He's gonna have the BKB. Chronosphere onto everyone. Focusing the Ancient Apparition first. Now turning around. Looking for the DK. Will take them both down. With the BKB, take pretty much no damage in the process. Going for... oh, he finds a Regen Rune? Play well, get rewarded. Am I right? Finds a Regen Rune. Straight into Roshan afterwards. And wow, we don't get to see this very often either. Usually it's the left talent for 20. Summons 2 Plague Wards and Gale Impact, but he already has the Aghanim Scepter. You may as well make this thing last for 23 seconds. 23 times 110 damage. And with Magic Weakness, we'll call that pure. That's a lot of damage. That is a lot of damage. From just one hero also. You can't blame DC for going for that play, honestly. Like, you catch a Faceless Void, the Dragon Tail like that, you're gonna go for him. Until he picks up an Aegis, in which case you're not gonna go for him anymore. Ooh, look. We also have another right talent that we don't see all that often. I feel like it's 90% of the time you take the Time Walk cast range. But Chessie instead opting for the aggressive killing build. Gonna take the extra attack speed. 40 is a lot of attack speed. So it's still a very powerful talent. It's just, you know, not quite as desirable as the other one. Ritsu. Yeah, they will kill off a sentry. Ritsu's got the doppelgang up to the high ground. He's probably just gonna do that. They've also caught IX Mike in a pretty compromised position, although Ritsu is gonna dash in, give him a little bit of space. Hitting into an Underlord doesn't really get all that much accomplished. Ryle's in the meantime cutting the creep wave, so this is all that complexity have to push with right now. Should probably be enough, especially if they just jump right into Ritsu with the Burrow Strike. He's really got to be careful here. Even with the heart and a hood, we've seen he's not invulnerable. Ryle's still back here cleaning up the creep waves. As Ritsu's going to dash in. Actually takes quite a bit of damage from the cleave of GESC. And complexity are tired of this. They're just going to leave. You can have your top lane. But Ryle can actually go over towards mid lane and start cutting that one. There are 2 waves coming in, however. And looking for the Rax play. You can see Ryle getting into position. Is spotted, though. They know exactly what's going on here. But they have enough of a creep wave that maybe they can go for it anyway. Oh, they Burrow Strike the Phantom Lancer off of the dash. Does get hit with the Maledict as GESC now is going to drop that Chronosphere. Poor Ancient Apparition. Poor DK. Exact same situation as last time. Now with the Death Ward coming in, they get the bash and they get the kill. Ritsu's on top of Limp, doing what he can right now. The Nova's already out and Ritsu's going to start ticking down despite having that magic resistance. Here comes Z-Freak with the Epicenter trying to go for Ritsu. Fails to land that Burrow Strike, however. They have caught 2 with the Pit. And it's GESC ignoring all of that, letting Limp take this damage. Venomancer's still not dead just yet. The Hood is doing some really nice work for him as Z-Freak gets healed by the cheese, lands another really nice Burrow Strike. Cass comes out now onto Bryle, who again has not been able to do pretty much anything. Is going to slip out of there thanks to the lack of detection, which Complexity somehow don't have. But they will be unable to save their Rax, and now it's time to group up around the Uber Lord. He's going to zip everyone back to the fountain. Ultimately, Complexity don't lose a single thing. They use cheese. Is that a loss? Probably not, because they got Rax off of it. We'll call it using the cheese, not losing it. And that's going to be Rax taken. GESC's Chronospheres have been absolutely amazing. And honestly, like, although you might feel like it's the best thing to do, just Chronosphere the Phantom Lancer, try to kill him off. Killing off these side heroes, these heroes that can kind of interrupt you. If he's able to Chronosphere the ET, he's been Chronosphering the Ancient Apparition, getting rid of that ranged Dragon Tail, which could otherwise stop your damage completely in that Chronosphere. GESC is not being super greedy with them, taking out the heroes that will stop Complexity from fighting.
I'll take that.
It's kind of disappointing, honestly, to see this Lina getting shut down every single fight. Again, I'm biased, man. I love me some Lina, but she hasn't been able to really do all that much because Complexity have just been handling her. And now the push continues on bot lane. Still with this Aegis onto GESC with the Lincoln Sphere to replace it. Still with a lot of duration on it as well. Dude, losing an Aegis and then popping up with the Lincoln Sphere is like the most dangerous thing you can do. Off to the side though, they will catch Z-Freak. Chronosphere goes off onto Bryle and GESC again finds the Lina. At least she gets her damage output out this time as IX Mike and Ritsu gonna team up, kill off Kit Track. GESC gonna jump right in onto this Dragon Knight, taking a lot of damage here, but the stomp comes in for the Elder Titan. GESC still cleaving through everybody, kills off IX Mike, gets hit with the Earth Splitter and will lose the Aegis. Hops right back up though with the Lincoln Sphere in tow as Moo is working the plus 160, is just going to work. And in the back, the Venomancer is here as well. Lands the Gale into Ritsu as AY's in a corner, will get torn apart. Limp taking a lot of damage here as GESC and Moo doing their best to clean up Ritsu's illusions. They will do just that. Another doppelgang forward, actually back from Ritsu, but GESC's right on his tail, praying for that bash. Ritsu is he's gonna get back to the fountain. Okay, that's the end result. He gets back into the fountain, but Limp survives. This Venomancer is not an easy hero to kill off, though normally this hero is. Just so far into this hero. Second place in the net worth by game's end. GG is called and DC are out, guys. GESC NA qualifiers took an interesting turn. Complexity off of first a really aggressive push strat, now rallying around a Faceless Void play. I really do think this game comes down to target selection from Complexity. It seems like every single fight, they were the ones to get the initiation off with the Chronosphere. Or a Z-Freak Burrow Strike. And every single time they did that, they were able to take down just a handful of heroes from DC. It was never Ritsu. They were never able to first thing kill off Ritsu. And that was okay with them. Like, Ritsu had his eyes out for Kit Track. But his illusions, like going up against the Underlord, going up against just like the Battle Fury and the Sand King, not lasting really long. I mean, this Phantom Lancer can't do everything. He definitely needed some extra help from initiation from the DK or Lina, either of them, neither of which really happened. Really no impact from the Lina at all in this game. So compLexity going to stay alive here in GESC, guys. And they will have a future date with currently unknown. Optic versus VGJ Storm is going to be the next match. That's scheduled to happen in an hour. I will double check with the people running this to see if they're going to start it early. I don't know. But guys, again, I'll keep you updated as soon as I know. I'm Mike Loris. It's been a pleasure casting these games for you guys. If you enjoyed the cast, stick around because we've got one more best of 3 before the day ends. And if you enjoyed the casting, you can hit me up on Twitter at Mike Loris. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I did right. Actually, don't do that. Just tell me what I did wrong. That's all I want to hear. Guys, I will let you know when the next game is going to happen, but VGJ going up against Optic is next.